Good morning. This is the June 16, 2020 Board of Assessment Review meeting for the town of Newcastle. We have some people in the waiting room. And Josh, what do we have to do now?
So if you guys would select a chairperson, and once that's done, then you guys can admit the first complainant.
I nominate Howard.
I second the nomination.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so moved. Mr. Dubs, you are the chairman.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, so let's bring Mr. Levine on. He's our first applicant.
Okay, he should be joining now.
Mr. Levine?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear and see you all. How are you?
Great, thank you. Can you raise your right hand, please? And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, you're on. Go ahead.
Sure, thanks for having me. Scott Levine, the property in question is Unit 17 of the townhomes at 149 King Street. So my home's assessed at a higher percentage of value than all similar properties. The average assessment of the 19 comparables in 149 King is $98,000. That's lower than mine at $106,000. And the average sales price over the past 5 years is $617,000, which is higher than mine at $570,000. Assessor Herman's position, I think, is that my home is underassessed when in fact it's overassessed. So how does this come about? The issue is that Mr. Herman has systematically, year after year, inflated the LOA statistic.
Mr. Levine, I'm going to cut you off right there. You've already been warned about defamatory remarks to my professional ethics, so be guided accordingly.
Understand. A fair LOA statistic would result in a decrease in my assessment by about 10%. So if I may, I've got two straightforward questions that I'd like to pose to Mr. Herman. First,
I won't be answering your questions today, Mr. Levine.
Mr. Herman's not taking any questions.
Okay, well, I'll just state them then.
Okay.
Why have you arbitrarily inflated the LOA every year for the past 5 years beyond the
Mr.
statistical
Levine, this is the Board of Assessment review of your application. Mr. Herman is not on trial or is to be questioned. This is not the forum for that.
My understanding is that ratio can be challenged in front of the board.
Well, then talk to the board.
Okay. Every year, the New York State Office of Real Property Tax Services does a statistical calculation. They base it on the recent sales. So there's two problems. Number one, every year, Mr. Herman declares the LOA to be a higher value than the state calculates. I've asked him to explain why, and he does not explain why. If there's no rational basis, then I don't see the justification for overriding the state's numerical analysis. And number two, my complaint is based on, if you look at the bottom of the attached sheet, there's a set of property sales that should have been included in the state's market value studies over the past 5 years. But for each of them, Mr. Herman went into New York State's system and falsely claimed that they're to be excluded as condominiums, and they're not.
That is false. I have no access to the state record to make changes.
They're all low ratio sales. The state's database shows that the assessor corrected them. That's the basis of my statement.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Levine?
No. So what I'm asking is if you could please relieve the harm that this year after year impact is doing to me. Thank you all. Sorry, Mr. Herman. I didn't mean to be confrontational. It's that I feel that I'm overassessed.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Levine. We have your application and we'll take it under advisement. You'll be notified of our decision in September.
Sure, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, now we have to wait for the Zhang, I guess.
Yeah, I have somebody named Devon Hinton.
Yes, that's the next application.
Okay.
Josh, should we take it now?
Sure. We have, well, you guys can see we have 4 more in a row and then a little bit of a break. So if they're there, you might as well.
We might as well. Okay, so let's call up the Divine Hinton. Hello.
Hello?
Hi.
Hey,
You're
how
on.
you doing today? Oh, here, let
Morning.
me turn off the dehumidifier. So it's easier to hear.
Are you both going to be talking?
It's just you, right?
Yeah, I could do the name tag.
The only reason is I have to swear you in. So if you both want to talk, then I'll swear you both in. Otherwise, I'll swear one of you in.
Well, I guess
You can
it's
both.
I mean, we
Why don't you both raise your right hand?
all right.
Right hand. Okay. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Okay.
Well,
So
that's easy.
this is your application for 117 Random Farms Drive. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we purchased the home last year for $960, and then we had a formal appraisal done through Bank of America when we were taking out a loan, and then they came over and appraised it on page 2 of the appraisal report. You can see at the bottom.
Okay.
970,000. And so we wanted to update and make sure that our tax base is updated to that, like either the sale price 960. Obviously, we want the lower to 960, but at least to the formally appraised price.
I understand. Josh, what does this equate to fair market value at 970?
Okay, so this is, the assessment on this is 241,935, which equates to a full market value of 1,269,000.
Okay.
The town's perspective on this is that this sold in October of 2018 as part of a portfolio sale with 2 other properties, one on Cabin Ridge and one on Campfire Road. And that traded for 1,270,000.
Okay.
Which is what we lowered it to for the 2019 assessment roll. And so that's where, those are the facts as the town sees it.
Yeah, and then for some clarity on the situation, when we did the switch or the trade, the owners who ended up selling us this house never saw the quality or this the status this house was in. So when we came in, everything was sold as is. So when we came in, we saw there was a lot of damage and things like that, and nothing was updated. Most of the appliances and everything is like 15 to 30 years old. Several of the like HVAC zones don't work and things like that. Even the deck was also rotting wood as well. So the prior owners had, I guess, luckily sold it at 1.27, but we feel that it was not valued at that price, which is why the owners who sold it to us ended up decreasing the value.
Understood. Have you guys, have you done any repairs?
Yeah, so the main repair we did was fixing the deck. So that's why I think that we told this to the appraiser, and that's why he increased it to 970.
Fair enough. I mean, if the board would like to see photos of that deferred maintenance, maybe that would be helpful.
Do you want to make a visit? Do you think that would be appropriate?
We can either do a visit or we can do it by photo. Yeah, we'll talk offline, and you know, if the complainant is amenable to that, I'm happy to go out and do that.
All right, one or the other we should do.
Okay, and you said picture of the deck, right?
I would say pictures of the deck, any deferred maintenance, pictures of the bathrooms and the kitchen, and that should be
Okay.
able to give a good indication.
Okay, sounds good. And there was obviously like leaking, and so we fixed the leaks as well. Yeah.
And if you have any receipts for the fixing, also subsequent to your purchase.
Okay, so let's see. Do you want to email Denise, and
Yeah.
we can
Photos.
try to set something up in the next couple 3 weeks?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, super.
Any board, any questions?
I'm good.
You have the appraisal in front of you, paperwork and everything?
Yep.
Okay, I think we're okay on this. You have anything to add, applicant?
Nope, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
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 Okay, we have nobody waiting.
Josh, that's a big difference, right? 960 to 127?
So yeah, it's probably
Like 30%.
probably about $9,000 and $9,000 a year.
In taxes?
Yep, the difference.
Wow. Now, I mean, are Miranda Farm houses going for 970, 960?
Some are. We just had a sale for 1,350. Similar
Okay.
size as
Similar?
the
Similar size?
similar size.
1,350.
Hate to interrupt. Josh, maybe you have Denise call Bob. He signed into this evening's Zoom session, not this morning's. I have no way of getting to him.
Maybe he's busy this morning.
Can you just?
He's jumping the gun.
Yeah. Thanks. Sorry.
So you heard the one about the couple walking down the street? Wife says, see that drunk? And the husband says, who is it? Wife said, that's the guy I rejected 10 years ago. Husband said, you see, he's still celebrating.
I missed the punchline.
I see he's still celebrating.
Oh, I see.
Okay, we have a call-in user, which I'm guessing is Upper Westchester.
Okay.
Let me
Let's
know when
bring
you
him on.
guys are ready. Put them on.
Yeah, I might as well.
Yep.
Here we go. Hello? It may not be by the phone since we're a little bit early.
Oh. Okay. So this is Lyle. This is all being taped, I assume. The whole.
Yeah, you take unless you tell me to pause the recording.
Okay.
In the upper
So
left, it says recording.
So Eric's joke went out to the public.
So that's how I can control it. Well, I think it'll be good education for the community.
Okay.
So I'm gonna. Okay, we have another person, Ali Javed or Javed.
Okay.
That's the gentleman who's on the complaint form. He's going to probably be the representative.
Okay, so shall I let him in?
Yes.
Dr. Javed is the head of the organization.
Okay.
There's no-
He is joining. There he is.
Good morning, Dr. Javed.
Hi, good morning. How are you, all of you?
Good, thank you. Good. May I ask you to raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, you're on.
Okay. Essentially, it's the same thing I'm going to repeat, which is in the letter. We purchased the property in 2004, and the book was thrown at us. It took us a decade almost two. In November of 2014, we finally got the special use permit, which essentially permitted us the right to build on it. So thereafter, let me just put the phone down. Thereafter, we had engaged architectural planners, architectural firm, then the site planner, JMC, and so on. So we spent a lot of time and funds, almost $800,000 during this process of the 10 years. And thereafter, after getting the special use permit in November 2014, thereafter, the whole process started to have the architectural plan to get the building permit. So essentially, we had to appear before the planning board again, the architectural review board, the wetlands permit, the stormwater, and in addition, we had 2 lawsuits from our neighbors. And during all of this time, which is essentially another 3 years, from 2014 to 2017. During this time, we lost a lot of our members, donors, and so on. But that is just giving you a little bit background. We had been constantly looking at other properties as well, especially with the neighbors' opposition. And fortunately, the JCC property, which is a 15-acre property in Pleasantville, which was closed, we made a deal with them. We purchased that property last year in July. So that is the very short summary. Thereafter, after we closed on the property in the JCC property, which is 600 Bear Ridge Road in Pleasantville, thereafter we said, okay, what do we do with this property? So another 6 months, then COVID started. So we own the property. We have multiple plans, even with the interfaith, to have an interfaith possibly. These are all possible, but no decision has been taken. So I want to let you know, the board, that we own the property. We have not made any decision, which is essentially 6 months after purchasing the property in July. So till January. We have made no decision, but any plan, if we use the property for ourselves, it will again go through the town with all the required permits and zoning requirements and so on. So I leave it to the board to ask me any questions. So we earnestly request to continue with the nonprofit status for that property.
Thank you. So the issue is the property to be taxed? And Josh, you're the expert on that issue when it comes to a religious use. So what's the story?
So we removed the exemption. There's 2 parts to receive the wholly exempt status. One is ownership, which is clearly met. The second is use of the property. I followed up. I received a complaint from Mr. Goldberg last July 29th, 2019. And so I went out and took a look at it. It looked at that point that it wasn't being used for anything. So I had it on my inspection list for this year, just because last year the roll had already passed. And I found the property to be in pretty rough shape. The buildings and so forth were dilapidated. In one case, the main house didn't have a front door. The front door was certainly ajar. And I made the determination that it wasn't being used. I mean, if it is being used, I'm happy to go out and take another look. Dr. Javid, have you guys been using that property?
I just told you over the last 10 years, in the first few years, that house which was built on it, which is already, the structure is there, it is probably 50, 80 years old. So the plan was to demolish this. So the whole point, it is not being used. I just narrated it. Yes, we are not using it for our purposes. The house would have been demolished. The architectural plans, the detailed plans, which is submitted to the town. And you are the assessor, are you? What is your title?
Yes, sir, I'm the assessor.
Okay. If you consult the town, we have all the details, plans for the building and so on. So the property is not in use now. So it should be treated as vacant land. If the town thinks we should demolish that existing property, which would have been demolished if we went into construction, we would gladly demolish it if that is a condition put forth by this board.
So
But
it's,
because we do not plan to renovate that property. It's of no use to us.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
We do not plan to renovate or build onto the existing property. So it would be demolished. It is a vacant, it's not being used for the last 4 years. The existing house on it, the structure.
Understandable. Whether there's a house on it or if it's vacant land, you would still be eligible for the exemption if it's being used for your purpose.
Yes, it is being used for our future purpose.
Well, I think, Dr. Javad, you indicated that you don't plan to use the land and you're going to sell it?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I said no decision has been taken as yet. There are a couple of, we have been talking actually long, even prior to this, we are heavily involved in the interfaith in Chappaqua. I live in Chappaqua there, with the Pleasantville and so on. So there was a plan, even with the JCC property, to merge it into an interfaith between Christian Jews and Muslims. And we said, well, let us buy this because this is our first home. So we may use the other property. It is under our ownership, not for building the particular center, which we have not even submitted a building permit yet. It may be used for a conference center. It may be used for an interfaith center, yet to be determined. And that's the fact on the ground today is we have made no decision what to do with that property, the land. So I'm making a distinction when I say the property versus the structure in there. So the structure is of no use.
May I ask, do you have a sense of, any sense at all of when a decision might be made? And all like
To be honest, we were thinking around this time, a committee was formed in the Board of Trustees to give us a plan, but with the emerging COVID situation, everything virtual, no physical meetings and so on. So I would request the board to give us an extension for at least a few years so we determine how to use it. We may possibly develop and bring forth a plan to the town of Newcastle if we want to develop it ourselves alone as Upper Westchester Muslim Society or in combination with an interfaith organization, which they are very interested to have an interfaith, the three religious conference center. We do not know yet. So I cannot say exactly what the land will be used for. But we own it and it is, I think, our right to have it as a tax exempt to continue with it because it has only been 1 year now and we waited almost 18, 17 years for the town to give us a permit.
As of right now, that property is titled in the Upper Westchester Muslim, and you're fully a 501c C thing with the IRS, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I think this issue is going to center around the property's use or anticipated use. Can the exemption be applied for an anticipated use, Josh, or does it have to be used currently for the exemption?
Something before Josh replies, with due respect. When we purchased the property in 2004, we submitted a non-profit. I personally, because I've lived in the town, so I met all the building inspectors and so on. So immediately a tax exempt status was given to us in anticipation of use. So since 2004, the property was not particularly in use for any purpose other than anticipated use for 14 years till we got a permit. So I would request on the same premise, it be continued on an anticipated use. So I feel just suddenly within 1 year of us purchasing another property, and we request that anticipated use, the same yardstick be applied as long as we own the property.
The way that I read the law is that there has to be a good faith effort of moving forward. I felt that because it was through the planning board and through the zoning board, and there had been no progress on it, it wasn't being used. That was the basis of my determination. If there's a good faith effort being made to do something with the property, then I would agree with that. But as it existed from 2019 to 2020, that didn't seem to be
So
demonstrated.
which is only 6 months. 2019, we purchased in July 31st, the other property. To that date, we were actively pursuing developing this property. In 2017, we filed again for a lot merger, and we have been talking to the town. So essentially it has been 6 months, taking away January to June through the COVID situation. But any case, if you need we plan to develop the property, or we have not made a decision as yet what to do with the property.
Josh, that 893 that's showing for the assessed value, what's the breakdown between land and building, if any?
So for the first tax lot, 80.15-1-25, the land is 63.4, and the total is 165.
Okay.
On the second lot, it's vacant, and that's at 34,600.
No structure.
No structure.
What's the total acreage?
The vacant lot is 3.01 acres. And the improved lot is 5.32.
Would the assessment change if the first lot didn't have any buildings on it?
No. I'm sorry. You mean if the structure was removed? Yeah, we would reassess it based on what a building lot would be at. So yes. The short answer is yes.
Okay. Because
The description you gave, that building as it stands now is not habitable.
Let's take a look. I can share with you the if I can figure this out.
hi, Bob.
Morning.
Yeah, good morning, Bob.
Oh, you got his semaphores working.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Oh boy.
Oh, boy.
Okay, this is the ancillary structure to the larger lot. If you can see, this is the electrical service hanging off the side.
Gee.
This is the main house. And I believe that the vacant piece starts somewhere over here and then goes, I guess that would be north. Sorry about that. If you tilt your head to the left, that would be the front door. I did not go past that. Those are the Bilco doors. That is the back side of the first photo. So that's not on what Dr. Java is saying. I mean, he's certainly being forthright that it's dilapidated.
Well, do you think this should be raised immediately?
Well, I think that would be for the building inspector, the code enforcement officer, to make that decision. It certainly didn't appear to be safe from, certainly from my perspective, at least from the wires hanging off structurally. I didn't examine that.
Right. I mean, this vagrants could be in this house or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's an attractive nuisance issue, you know, safety with kids.
But the question is whether there's even live electricity going into that building. My assumption is the utility, unless somebody's paying the bill, has cut it off a long time ago.
We did. There's no power to the facility there.
There's no power.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which means that the wells are not working, et cetera, so there's no water, there's
Yeah.
no heat, there's no power.
There's no power, there's no heat. It's not in use, the structure. It's quote unquote abandoned. We can demolish it. As I earlier said, if the board determines we should demolish it, we can demolish it.
Well, I guess the town inspector will make that determination and notify the owner whether it should be
Oh,
demolished.
Christ's sakes.
Hmm.
Whoa.
Okay, anything else? Anyone else on the board would like to ask questions?
I think.
Uh-oh. Just
Uh-oh.
happened.
What happened?
The sharing screen.
You guys seeing that?
Yeah.
I'm seeing something dropped out.
Hang on, I'll block it.
Is that you, Rick?
Or I just blocked it. I don't know what was going on.
What the hell?
Okay. Any other questions for Dr. Javid? Okay, so
Thank you so much.
your application's been submitted and we'll take it under advisement and you'll be notified of our decision sometime in September.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Dr.
Dr.
Javid.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe.
Okay, here she comes.
Okay,
There she is.
good morning, Ms. Goldsman. I can't hear you. Unmute yourself.
I'm on mute.
No, now you're okay.
Oh.
We can hear you now.
Can I ask you to raise your right hand, please? And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Okay, you can proceed.
Okay. Kathleen Goldsman, 39 North Way in Chappaqua.
Mhm.
And yeah, we feel the assessment is too high, and that's why we're seeking a reduction. I'm sorry, I'm on my cell phone.
That's all right. That's all right. So I see that the appraisal is at 900,000.
Correct.
All right. And Josh, what does the town have as a fair market value?
The assessment is $242,630 for a full market value of $1,272,980.
Okay. Okay, so you're basically submitting the appraisal for
Yes.
your application.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Unless there's anything else or anyone on the board has any questions, we would certainly take your application under advisement and review your appraisal and make a determination.
So you don't do anything today?
No, we don't do anything today. We
Uh-huh.
we convene and meet and talk about it, and then make a decision. And the decisions are usually rendered sometime in September.
Okay. Not before.
Not before.
Okay. I mean, do you have any questions or feedback or, I think I submitted everything and I think everything is accurate.
Uh-huh. Okay. We will certainly review the appraisal and make a determination on your application.
So then do we hear directly from the board or?
You'll hear directly from the town. You'll get a letter.
Right. We send out a notice of determination with the board's decision on it. They usually are mailed on or about September 15th, which coincides with the final roll.
Okay.
If you don't hear anything by I'm not sure what day it falls on this year. Let's see. So that's a Tuesday. I would tell you if you don't hear anything by the following Monday, then you can certainly give us a call and we can share that determination.
And then if there is a reduction, and it wouldn't go into effect until next year.
Yes, ma'am. Any change would affect the April 21 town and county bill and the 21-22 school year.
Okay. Okay, so that's it.
That's it.
Unless you
Oh
have
my God.
more comments.
I've been Zooming with 4-year-olds. I'm a preschool teacher. So this is, this is so mature. Nobody's eating Cheerios or,
Well, how do you know that?
or crying. I don't know that either.
That comes later, right?
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so that's it?
That's it.
Unless you have anything else that you want the board to
Right.
know that's outside of the appraisal, then, the board will make the decision and you'll hear in September.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, there's Rick.
Yeah, Rick's back.
I'm back. I don't know. All of a sudden, I got a message that my internet was unstable, sort of like me in that aspect, and it just went away.
Yeah, it's definitely slow. You can see it on the monitor. We have the Mayor Rajas,
Morara and Rosenblum.
and they're ready to go if you guys are.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Whoa.
Good morning.
Good morning.
May I ask you to raise your right hand?
You see it?
Yep. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Okay, and can you please state your name?
Lavik Morara.
Okay, thank you, sir. And okay, you're on. So tell us about your application.
So, I wanted to put together the application because I thought that our house was being assessed at a very high value. And, first of all, thank you for hearing me. And also, I apologize in advance for any errors that I've made because, obviously I'm not a real estate professional. But I basically just did a simple search of the houses that have sold in my neighborhood over the last 2 years and looked for comparables based on lot size, property size, house size, whether or not the property had a pool, and the sort of typical thing. And I summarized that in the documents that I sent you, and I think you can see that the assessed value of our house is much, much higher than the certainly the average sales value of all the other houses that I found that are comparable. And then and that really applies to essentially every metric that you can analyze the house with.
Mm-hmm. You didn't have to do an appraisal, did you?
No.
When did you purchase the house?
We bought the house in 2003.
Okay. And what'd you purchase it for?
1.15.
Okay.
I can share my screen with the presentation if that makes it easier.
Well, we have the paperwork.
You have the
in front
paperwork.
of us. Each of us have a copy of it. I mean, it's something that we will ultimately digest at a later date to go through it better. But we just want to.
I think that these properties are pretty comparable to mine. You know, if you look at the Bradley Farms property, for example, that's literally one block over. And that just sold very recently for 1.49, I believe. That house was, you know, renovated and built by the same architect as ours, and essentially looks very similar to ours. They don't have a pool, but they do have a bigger property. And, you know, my letter really sort of summarizes this, but I hope that you can see that the comparable properties are not only comparable, but also much cheaper than ours. The sales price has been much lower than ours, both on average and also absolutely. I mean, there's not a single property that even comes close.
Josh, what's the town's take on the fair market value of this property?
Well, I'd have to take a look at the data just to make sure that the lower level square footage isn't mixed in with above grade, which sometimes skews the information. But you know, having looked at probably 50 houses in this price range and square footage, it looks like it could be slightly high. I don't think this is a $1.4 million type of house, but it could be in the low twos.
Okay.
But
I'm not suggesting that it's in the $1.4 million, but I think that you know, if you value the price of the house based on the price per square foot as compared to the comparables, you know, the price that you come up with is much lower, even if you exclude the houses that don't have a pool. So if you look at the properties that have a pool, the average price per square foot was about $280 or so. Ours is being assessed at over $400. So the assessed value of our house is, I think, $421 or something. And the average sales price of the comparable houses with pools was $280, which is where I came up with the number that I had suggested. And I think that's a fair estimate. I was very selective in the houses that I chose. Initially, when I had done the analysis, I had, 17 houses, but, many of them had many more square feet. Many of them had much larger properties, 4 or 5 acres and things like that. But these are fairly comparable. In fact, I would actually say that most of these properties have larger plots than we do.
Yeah, so the issue with taking the average is that it doesn't factor in the unique amenities of your property. So when you do an appraisal, you would look at the subject property, and then you would compare it to each of the sales, and then you would make an adjustment to try to equalize them out. Appraisers never average. We're happy to take a look at this.
No, I fully admit that this is not my line of work. I had a little extra time because we had, COVID downtime. And so I decided that, now would be a good time to do it. And it seemed to me like it would be reasonable. And, quite frankly, I actually learned a little bit about the process. So it was interesting to do. And I understand, your point, and totally, understand what you're saying. But our house is nothing nothing special. I mean, we don't have a wine cellar. We don't have, we don't have like a, movie studio in our basement. We don't have a wet bar in our basement. We don't have a cabana. We don't have any of those, sort of high-priced amenities. But I understand what you're saying.
What's the square footage of your house?
It's about 6,300.
So it's a fairly large house.
Oh, I'm not debating that it's a large house, but the comparables are all between 5,300 and 6,300.
Yeah. Okay. And you do have a pool, correct?
Yes.
You don't have a pool house?
We do not have a pool house.
Okay. Do you have a tennis court?
We do not. No.
I have the square footage breaking out at 6344 above grade and 2431 finished basement.
Yeah, the property we bought it with a pool back in 2003.
Can you just speak about the condition and the age of your bathrooms and kitchen?
We did a renovation in 2007, and we haven't really done anything since then.
Okay.
Okay. Any other members of the board wish to comment or question? Okay, so I guess you're submitted and we have your application and we will certainly review the material and you'll be hearing from us sometime mid-September by letter of a decision. And at that point, you can either accept or not accept the decision and act accordingly. But thank you for your application. And if there's nothing else, then we'll conclude.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening. And, I apologize again if I made any mistakes, but I was fairly diligent. So hopefully I didn't make too many egregious mistakes. So I hope the application's okay.
Very good. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you
so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, here he comes.
Good morning, Mr. Putnam.
Oh, good morning.
Are you both planning to talk or one of you?
Yes, this is my wife, Andrea Putnam.
Hi.
How do you do? Are you both planning to talk or just one of you?
Both of us.
Can you both raise your right hands? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, you can proceed.
Hi. So I'm Andrea Putnam. This is my husband, Will.
Okay.
We've been in Chappaqua since 1996. We've lived in 3 houses over the years, raised 3 children here. The last 2 graduated last year from Greeley. All 3 graduated in total. We've been involved with the community. Will's always coached and done PTA stuff. I'm a member of the Chappaqua Ambulance Corps. I currently am a are riding EMT with CVAC. We've come to the point in our lives where we're now empty nesters and, are ready eventually to sell the house at some point. And it's because unfortunately we have not had a chance to take care of the house to the point that we had planned. And we've had to defer maintenance and things like that, and just are not going to be able to afford to stay here now that our kids are out of the school district. So based on the various properties that my husband, that we wrote up for you, we feel that our current value on your tax roll is overassessed. So I'm going to hand it now to Will to make kind of the more numbers based.
Yeah, let me just add that we as my wife mentioned, that our kids, our twins, our youngest twins graduating last year. We were seriously considering putting our house for sale and moving, but then obviously we had this COVID, so all 5 of us are back in the house for the first time in a long time. So we're going to stick it out a little longer. Which led us to start looking at, where our total market value is. In addition to some informal conversations we've had with local real estate brokers, and obviously the house next door, we've been following that. It was a tear down new construction. So we've been pretty tapped into at least Lawrence Farms East real estate. So the bottom line is, and I think I outlined it, is that given recent sales in the neighborhood, we just feel like, we would not even come close to listing our house for the town's total market value, even in light of, this so-called COVID strength in the market. Our house, as Andrea mentioned, has deferred maintenance, and we look to the house next door, which is 55 Taylor, which is the new construction, which just closed, I think, last month or within the last couple of months. The home that was there, they were built at the same time as our home, and that was sold to a builder for in the $800,000 range and was bulldozed. So in fact, we even shared a water line. So given the recent sales just in the very near vicinity, we feel that our house is probably worth much closer to $1 million than it is to $1.4 million. So that's what drove us to file this grievance.
Yeah. 55 Taylor sold for 1975.
That's correct.
How many square feet is your house?
3,750.
The house is 6,700 square feet, brand new construction with high-end finishes.
It was very well done. It's high.
Yeah.
It's
a similar
high
lot,
ceilings.
similar size lot. I mean, it was an original. They both were original Lawrence Farms houses, 1950, 1952. The one that was torn down, excuse me.
Yeah.
That house is, prime time new construction, flat lot, beautiful lot.
It was very well done
huge.
with high-end finishes. But I would add, even if our house were to sell for the relatively same price per square foot, it would still, our house would still be probably worth, I think the math is around $1.1 million. So it's hard to see, given our home with a kitchen that has appliances that are from the early 80s, that it would sell for anything close to a comparable price of the new construction next door.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even, our systems have barely been replaced. We have the original boiler, or we believe it is. We don't have full air conditioning. Only 2/3 of the house is air conditioned. So the living room, the dining room, the main hall, the entryway, not air conditioned, all original. We have almost all original windows. The house needs a ton of work. So, if you look at the fact that this brand new construction, literally, and it shares the property line with us, massive, big construction. And then the other comps are that he listed on the first page.
Well, the house that's most similar, I think, just in appearance to ours is 5 Woodland, and Woodland is just off Taylor. It's a little private road just up the street. And it was a similar home, but, it was listed, it's a similar home in appearance of, curbside appearance. It's a center hall colonial. It's newer than ours, and it's been updated. But it was listed at 1.6 a year and a half ago or so, and it sold for $999. So I think that's that's a similar home.
Well, it's got a lot more acres. That's almost 3 acres, actually.
I mean, and then the estate, 50 Taylor Road, which is up the road, which is just, it's kind of mind-boggling to us that it sold for where it sold, because it's a genuine estate. I mean, it was originally listed for 2.9, and it just recently closed for 1.26.
And that's got, renovated kitchen, renovated bathrooms. It has a pool. It has sorry, hello? Oh, he's on phone. It has, 50 Taylor. I don't know how familiar you are with that home, but that's just a true estate property. 4 acres, privately situated, just up the street from us. And that 5,000 square feet, plus there's it's only listed at 4 bedrooms, but it's got a full guest house over the garage.
And it's in pretty good condition. So
yeah.
Yeah,
look
yeah.
move-in condition. Our house is not in move-in condition, essentially. It's livable for us because we've been here for a long time.
Which of those houses did you reference as having been torn down?
The house, so the
55 Taylor.
55 Taylor was a gentleman named Mr. Hooker, who I think lived there from the original construction. He passed away a few years ago, and his son put the house up for sale. And I think it sold definitely in the 800 range.
To a builder.
To a builder.
He tore it down completely, every part of it.
Yeah, and then he did a real nice job with it. He originally listed it, I think, in the high twos.
I think it was just under 3. I think it was
Yeah,
295.
2.9, something like that. And then it sold, just in the last
Probably 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
closed. Yeah,
They moved in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah, they
but
just moved in.
They had closed prior to it for 1975.
Now the house that was there was a little bit smaller than ours, the one that was bulldozed, but it was as I said, it was built at the same time by the same builder. It was one of the original Lawrence Farms East homes. He had a pretty nice pool that the builder chose to just bulldoze as well.
And that piece of property is actually
It's very similar to ours.
magnificent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
very similar to
flat. It's very flat. Yeah.
Very similar.
I do show the square footage on that as 4784, not the 62 or 6700. Above grade shows 4784, and then it's got 1909 square feet in the basement.
It's finished
it's
basement.
finished.
We've been in there.
It even has-
It has a bedroom. It has a full bath with marble.
It has a fireplace.
Yeah, the basement is, and that house is
high ceilings. I mean,
you can see. I mean, they have it listed as 5 bedrooms, 7 baths, but there are built-out bedrooms down in that basement. At least one. I saw it when they were pulling the staging out because it was fully staged. That's how desperate they were to sell it. It just kept going down in price. That house is. That must be. Is that from the listing sheet? I don't know where it's just 6,700 square feet. Maybe.
Do you have a finished basement?
It's partial, but it's not it's below grade. It's carpeted and it's got walls, but it's a gym.
I wouldn't call. It's not gym quality, but it's just we threw some exercise equipment down there, and then the bulk of it is just the boiler, the washing machine, that kind of thing, and raw unfinished cement walls.
But the house next door is
that's a massive
because the basement, the way it's situated on the property, they're it's basically walkout from the basement. Ours is just a typical basement with the little windows at the top.
Mm-hmm. So do you have no ingress or egress from your basement?
We do. We have a little stairs that go to the back.
Like cement stairs that go
little
down.
Cement stairs.
To the.
But the stairs go. It's not on grade. The steps go up.
Steps go up. Yeah. It's a full set of stairs.
So it sounds like we have maybe a condition issue. Would it be helpful to the board to have some interior photos of the deferred maintenance, the bathrooms, the kitchen, the basement, square footage, anything that's finished, in order to help with that determination?
Sure.
Before you answer, I just want to say I think you have them because we had a full walkthrough with your predecessor at the time that we agreed these taxes a few years. What was it, like 6 years ago, maybe?
14, yeah.
In 2014, and they took photos, I believe. So those you should. And I will tell you, nothing has changed. It's just worse. In those 6 years, we haven't touched a thing other than maybe he replaced our dishwasher himself.
So then I think
I can share with you the photos, excuse me, that I have on file. But I would think recent photos would be most appropriate.
That's fine.
That's fine. But if you need it for reference currently, is what I'm saying. You do, we still have the same 1988 kitchen. And we did just replace, as I said, he did it himself. He replaced the 1988 dishwasher.
Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing?
Nope.
No.
No.
No, I don't see anything.
Oh, we can't see anything.
No, we won't.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, we can take new photos, but there's been no upgrades.
Better?
Yeah.
There you go. So you can see right
Oh,
there, that's the basement.
I don't think they can see
Yeah,
us
well,
pointing.
if you look,
You see where that chair is? If you go across from that, you can see
to the
the
left of the chair, you can see the top of the
That's the
basement door.
top of the.
Right, got it.
Okay.
Is that a door or a window?
That's a door, and then so where
Oh,
your
in
cursor is, that's the door, and
If
then
you move to the left in the lattice work, that's a small.
yeah, that's a window that's
Yeah.
at the ceiling
At the top,
ceiling
the
of the
ceiling
basement.
level. Yeah.
How many square feet is your house, not counting the basement?
3750.
3750.
That's the house?
That's
the house.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna from the street. It looks like.
Well,
you know,
that's so
Lawrence
what you're looking at there. That's the back.
that's the back of the property for the
So
next one.
our property ends basically where the leaves end, and then the green grass is the backyard of the home next door. Yeah, those air conditioners are predate us. That's
Is
above
this-
the garage. That's above the garage.
No pictures of the bath or kitchen.
That's the
There's the
kitchen.
kitchen.
Just
That
one
was
of the
the kitchen.
kitchen, but not a lot of it.
How many acres is the parcel?
1.6.
1.6, thank you.
And next door is same, 1.65.
Okay. All right. Anything else to add? Anything from the board? Yeah, it seems to be a lovely home. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. We have what you've submitted, and we will take it under advisement, and you'll have our decision sometime in the middle of September.
Should we be? Do you want us to submit more photos, or you have enough?
Josh, you think it would be helpful?
I do. I think it would be helpful if it's a condition issue. You know, I
Things
think
like you want to see the boiler, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you could show the boiler,
The
but
entire bathrooms, all of the
Definitely.
kitchen, instead of just a picture of the Sub-Zero, it looks like.
Yeah,
Oh, that stuff's gone.
That's gone, that's gone.
That died. That was 1988 vintage. It's replaced now by like a Frigidaire or something. It doesn't fit in the
That's the reason
space.
the pictures will come in handy. Like just go like that with the smartphone.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, we have the broken ovens.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
okay.
only have one working oven, that kind of thing. Yeah, we'll send the details like that, sure. And I do think the comps that are listed and even the others really, I mean, those are all very recent and very, very local to us, you know?
Hey, Josh, who do I send those pictures to? Just an email to you or to?
yeah, I'm happy to print it out. If you send it to me at jherman@mynewcastle.org.
Yep. Okay.
I will annex it to your petition, and then when the board deliberates, they will have the information.
Great. Okay.
Thank
Great.
you.
All right.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Have a good day.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Here we go. Lawrence, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. I've got audio.
Okay.
And I was looking at a really nice Yorkshire Terrier there.
Okay, well, that's me.
That's one of our consultants.
Yeah, I paid consultant.
How old or young is he or she?
It's a 5-year-old 12-pound Yorkie, very fat one.
We had a kind of chubby one as well for 10 years, too short.
Oh God, yes, for sure.
So sweet.
Everybody can hear you. It looks like your video is on our end. We just can't see your face.
Oh, okay, that's unfortunate. I'm going to try to fix that.
Okay.
Nancy should be walking into the room momentarily, and she might be able to toggle the button for us.
Okay.
Are we ready?
We're ready. We
Hi. Can you see us?
no,
We can't see you. It says your video is transmitting, but the camera's not on at your end.
Enable camera access.
That would do it.
Go to settings.
Are you on a PC or cell phone or?
We're on a PC.
Okay. Yeah, Zoom may not have rights to use your camera. That's probably what's going on.
Select a camera, FaceTime HD. No, let's go to video settings. Let's see.
Enable HD.
Well, at least you're not upside down.
Share screen.
Where's that? Where?
This one.
Maybe I have to click on stop video. No, mute pin video. Darn it.
Try going into next to the start video on Zoom. There's an up arrow, and try clicking on the up arrow. You should get video settings.
Yes, select a camera. It's is choosing FaceTime HD camera built in.
Or video settings.
Okay.
And then video settings.
Yeah, click on video settings. And click on the video tab there on the left. You should be able to see yourselves.
Yeah, that comes up black.
Okay, that means your camera is blocked out from Zoom.
So should we proceed without faces?
I think if that's okay with Lawrence, that's fine with. Yeah, we got the recording.
Okay, I can hear you loud and clear. It's unfortunate that you can't see us, but we certainly appreciate the opportunity to be heard.
Okay, can I just before
meeting.
you start? Before you start, can I ask you both to raise your right hands?
Yes.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
Great, thank you. Okay, we assume you did so, and you could proceed with your presentation.
How do we do this? We just talk about the comps that we feel are closest in valuation.
Well, I'm just curious about something. I was looking at your paper. How come you didn't take a picture of your house?
Because it's an old. I sent the MLS listing.
Yeah.
That they can come out line by line. Items can match up with the. It's not my picture. This is the MLS.
Sorry about
I
that.
have some photos if you want to see them.
Yeah, I'd like to see them.
Well, it's a house that is a good-looking house. It's the one and only house that we've lived in. We bought the home in 1997. It was actually the first house that we looked at when we moved to Chappaqua, and we've never. I don't think that we've really ever looked into, hiring an attorney as others have to, grieve our taxes. But, over the past couple of years, especially, it seemed to us that we were perhaps not in line with some of the other, tax rates and property values that we've seen both in this neighborhood and around town.
That was renovation back in 02, 03?
Yeah, the house essentially looks exactly as it appears in this photo, although
That looks elongated though.
we have shutters. Yeah, there's some trick photography there. It's not quite as long as that, but
okay.
We don't do trick photography.
No, but
It's
these
enhanced. It's nice looking. It's better looking.
contractors and real estate firms tend to do that, it seems.
That's our house.
Okay, so
And these photos were from May of 2003.
Right.
Yeah, that's when we upgraded the house. So, it's a typical 3-bedroom wood frame center hall colonial built in 1950. And we expanded the part there that has the 4 windows. Half of that is new construction. The pop out in the back and the deck are both new construction. And we enclosed a shed carport,
Which you see right there.
which you see there. It's not a functioning 3-car garage. You can't fit a car in there, but it's great for lawn materials and general storage.
What's the square footage of the house?
3,714, I believe.
Is that what the town has, Josh?
That is correct. And then it looks like 1530 in the basement.
1530 in the basement, 800 or so of it is finished.
Well, it's
And
I think
a portion of it is the mechanical room.
just on the numbers, we see total square footage here, 3,232.
On the upper level, first and second floor, and then the basement.
And then the basement's 1,200 square feet, which is utility inclusive 350 square feet. That's where the oil burner is and such. And then about 800 square feet of finished living space.
Is the
It's
house
all
centrally
below
air
grade. Pardon?
Yes.
Yeah, central air. The basement's all below grade. There is egress, but unfortunately the ceiling heights are, rather short. They're less than 8 feet. I believe they're 7 feet 2 inches.
May I ask you approximately how much you spent on the renovation?
Yeah, not an easy one to figure out. The renovation was stretched out over a couple of years.
Gotcha.
We began talking with the architect, who was Carol Kurth, in 01, and we were interrupted by 9/11. We resumed the project and probably got the C of O like 2004, to my recollection. So we had a good spend period of 2.5 years. I don't recall the exact figure, but I'm sure we were in for, $500,000 back in those times.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, we're on 0.52 acres.
Yep. See that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a lovely house. It's been a good home for us. We've stayed over the years. We had one child who went through the school system, and he currently lives with us, graduated college last year.
Okay.
You know, it's a 3-bedroom house, which I think, you know, we've developed to the point where it's very comfortable. The neighborhood is a bit packed, but we're putting up with that. You know, half-acre zoning provides certain challenges that are probably exasperated by the situation we're in, you know, being home every day.
Well, I think the property in the back of us is probably the biggest detriment that we have, because it's an abandoned farm property that is not well maintained, and it has issues with water and drainage issues that, you know, the neighborhood, we're not the only ones affected by it, obviously, but it does pose a hardship. I mean, it's an abandoned property, basically, so it kind of.
Fortunately, some of those issues have been resolved over time with the cooperation of the town. And currently, the property looks a lot better than the photos that I provided. The photos do show, however, what the land has been through and what the history of that property has been. We've been probably impacted the most in the neighborhood because we're at the lowest elevation, the lowest point in the neighborhood. You know, as a point of, you know, maybe just to interject a little realism, when it rains and when we have, you know, some serious storms, the driveway tends to get a little brown, and we're a collection point for the rest of the neighborhood. And down at the building maintenance or highway department, they reference us as Starbucks running down the driveway at times. So, you know, drainage has been something we've had our eye on as we've stayed in the property. We have 1, 2, 3 storm drains right out at the front of our driveway. So, you know, the house is very nice. The property we keep very nice, but, you know, it's the low point of the neighborhood, and, you know, right in back of us is potentially the source of, you know, a lot of the water table issues that do exist in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. When was the kitchen renovated?
Back in the
In that time frame, 02, 03.
Mm-hmm.
The renovations were all in that same window of time.
Yes.
Early
Yes.
2000s. Yep.
And that's why, I mean, I see houses that have been renovated in that time, and I see what they're selling for now. And, you know, maybe back then the prices were, you know, would warrant what the valuations, but I think we can see that now those, you know, those prices are not, you know, in line with, with the market.
I guess if we stick to our immediate neighborhood, which you know is a neighborhood with, you know, pretty consistent houses, somewhat inconsistent property sizes, but the houses that have sold most recently in the $1.1 million range offer you know, a lot more amenities, much larger properties. If we look, for instance, at 74 DeVoe Road, which is probably within 20 houses from us, if you're familiar with DeVoe, it connects into our neighborhood. And, you know, these houses are, you know, 1 to 2 acres, updated, accessory buildings, in some cases, swimming pools. Other piers that we've cited are connected to sewer, you know, which remains a hardship for us on a half an acre with the original septic system. You know, we realize that having municipal water and sewage, you know, carries a price premium as well. So
Well, I'd like to point out that what I forwarded to Larry to, you know, talk about in this meeting is the comps that I see have sold within the last 6 months. And the most comparable, and I think that was in the email that I sent, were 17 Deepwood Road, 37 Ludlow, which I think is the exact comp to my house. If you take a look, 74 DeVoe and 80 Whippoorwill Lake Road.
Yeah.
So if you take a look at those, you can see where we're thinking that our house should be valued at. And those comps, for instance, Ludlow just sold for 11211 even. So their FMV was 1.337, and they're getting a reduction from that 254 assessment to be reduced.
That was
I don't know
interesting.
what it is, but they're getting, and they're on 0.4 acres. They have 4 bedrooms, 4,200 square feet, and they're on 0.4 acres with, finished basement, and the house looks very similar to ours. I don't know if you.
I was
see it,
flattered
or-
last night when Nancy told me that Ludlow was the most direct comp, or really great comp, because I've always liked that street. And
And it's a similar neighborhood, and the house is very similar, and it's like an exact comp. But there are others, like Larry mentioned, Deepwood Road. If you take a look at that one.
17 Deepwood.
And when I print out on the MLS, I don't know, did you send these copies?
These houses sold prior to COVID?
No, these are,
Yeah, well, Ludlow closed on February 12th of 20.
So then it's pre-COVID, okay.
Yeah.
Because as I understand it, the market has picked up a bit. I could be wrong, but it's right
Well,
here.
that's the COVID scenario we're in. It's not you can't predict that this is going to last. I mean, if as soon as,
Okay.
something changes with
yeah,
a
can't,
vaccine.
hard to
this is
say on
gonna-
markets, but what we can say is post-COVID, the very good comp at 74 DeVoe Road, which sold for
Yeah, that was during COVID.
$1,125,000, that sold on June 4th, so this month, and that house is in our direct neighborhood. As I say, it's literally down the street, probably about a dozen houses away from us. That's the house on a very large piece of property, very nice place, but they also have, I think, like a 8 or 10 stall barn on the property. It's all level, very private. Setbacks on that property, is substantial. We've got, driveways on either side of our, property, which, I think is fine for the first time buyer, but I think for a lot of sophisticated buyers that do come up because of COVID from New York City, they're generally looking at larger properties and more privacy, which is why they're leaving the city. Our environment is, very suburban, almost, semi-urban, because we have straight stick driveways, small lawns. Every house is 0.5 acres. So lovely neighborhood, but, unlike almost all of the peers, are surrounded by larger properties, offer some more privacy, and generally what people are looking for in the market today.
Right.
So
Well,
we feel like, the 1.1, yeah.
Your house certainly beats a 2-bedroom apartment in the city.
Thank you. I know, I have to remind myself of that, absolutely. I always thought I'd end up on Lexington Avenue somewhere, but.
Right. Josh, what does the town say the fair market value is of this house?
I'm sorry, for DeVoe?
No, for East Place, 17 East Place.
The assessment is at 248,040 for a full market value of 1,301,364.
Great.
Can I just go back to DeVoe, Ms. Jaffaroff?
Sure.
I just want to, because I don't have access to MLS today. Is that a ranch?
Yes, it's a sprawling ranch.
Okay.
It's what you'd call like a real Texas ranch. It's got wings. It's a former horse property. The Caplos lived there for, many decades.
And their renovation was at the same time as ours.
They invested in the home continually. They're one of the better neighbors to have. I was happy to hear that she is staying in Chappaqua, a very nice person who's significantly invested in her property over the years. There's a koi pond in the back. I know the contractor who built it. I don't want to breach any privacy, but you know, the price of the koi pond was equivalent to the price of a swimming pool. So it's a really lovely Bedford-like property, and it is sprawling. We're lucky to have it in the neighborhood.
And there's another comp in the neighborhood that's pending, which, you know, I don't know what the price is, but 15 Marshall Lane is on the market for 1199. It's on 1.28 acres and it has a pool. And it has a circular drive and it's at the end of the cul-de-sac. And that was renovated again at the same time because they used some of the same contractors we did.
Mm-hmm. And I'd love to offer as much realism as possible and make everyone's job, you know, as easy as possible. The reality, you know, of our situation is that, we are sandwiched in between two homes. One is a perpetual rental. It's been rented out for the past 12 or 13 years. It's received very little by way of investment. You know, people refer to it as a knockdown. And then the property to our left has recently been maintained, but it's a widower, very nice neighbor. But, you know, the house hasn't changed since 1955. And so, you know, when people shop for homes, it seems like, the two neighbors to our immediate left and right, offer lower value. And I think what's behind us raises a significant question, or certainly puts the brakes on, someone, purchasing our home with ease. Mm-hmm. I think, the history of that property suggests that it has been a hardship and we've been impacted. So I think that, that should be considered in the value, and it probably doesn't pop off the page. And, I'd like to just reference that. And I know Josh and I spoke about that, in more detail.
Okay. Does the board have any questions? No? Okay. So we have your submission, and you'll hear from us mid-September with a decision. All right?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Great.
Enjoy the rest of the summer.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
If you go on Google Earth to look up his property, you can see the houses.
Wait. Rick, I'm sorry. Lyle, we still on?
We are still recording, but he's off. Do you want me to stop recording?
Stop recording. Okay, gentlemen, and ladies and lady, we have heard the applicants for the morning session of the BAR, and I think we can sign off at this point and reconvene tonight at a little before 6, sign on, and we'll hear our first applicant at 6 p.m. tonight on June 16th. So thank you for your cooperation and being with us this morning, and that's it.